Snacks, Tracks and Pats by Haldane B. Doyle. Narrated by William Skye. This story is from the Keystone Codex, a project that highlights some of the best modern indie sci-fi authors today. Get your copy for free following the link in the description. Snacks, Tracks and Pats. 3 core preps for every drone patrol. Huma stretched the length of her pod until toes and fingers pressed the metal end caps. If she grew much more, a final size upgrade would be necessary. She tilted the pod 28 degrees from vertical and rubbed her ear against her new nano-velvet polymer chair. The upgrade had cost 1,400 megajoules, worth it for the sweet squish against her skin. A side panel opened, and the dumbwaiter dumped a clump of stimmy gums, flavor range tuned for the duty sesh ahead. Snacks in position. The dumb DJ picked a hum-banger tune. No ticker or timbre tweaks needed. The screensaver rained rainbows to the beat. Tracks on tap. Yoke appeared on the side screen, wonk-eyed after his face tune. After years growing up together, Huma had thought her AI companion needed a more grown-up manifest, but was starting to regret it. Yoke prompted, 2 minutes till drone sync, biomets a touch subprimal. Time enough for a heart filler vid to get through the shift. Drone heading clenched Huma's nerves, but the payout left the rest of her time free. Better that than whole days riding pipes on some clog-chopping dumb scrubber. Huma said, "Run Pepperoni's birthing day." The main screen lit up with the familiar blue-tongue lizard picking through tangerine yams, sparkling berries, and succulent beef. Huma chewed an orange stimmy to feel the feast. To amp the feels, Huma extracted Saveloy from the side panel and stroked his slick nylon scales. Saveloy was only a plushie, the beloved original lizard died years back. Custom 3D print, 32 megajoules. Cheaper than another pet and less sad-making. Still, she only hugged Saveloy once a day. That way he would last forever. A blue stimmy, slow-sucked, smoothed the mood. Huma had watched Pepperoni's birthday on repeat until the view counter got too long to grok. She found the video when she was little, between Yoke's talking lessons, trawling vids from the ancient internet, mostly people screaming or falling over. That Pepperoni file was nearly 2 millennia old. Just a guy talking to their pet skink while it nommed up a birthday feast. But the love so pure and perfect. That love changed Huma from the first loop. Yoke interrupted. 10 seconds to sync. A red stimmy gum, double strength, to open all channels. The screens lining the pod walls faded into a full drop feed. Tongue blue sky above, iguana green swamp below. The motion lag and blade whir jilted Huma's gut. She squished the throb behind her ears. Hundreds of fellow intercept drones were arrayed, 3 rows deep, all around the southern launch tower flight ladder. Status symbols showed 12 Jupiter-class rockets deep inside, counting down. The megacities were still fighting over launch quotas again, thinking they could stop oxygen levels dropping anymore. A nearby drone broke formation and pulled some loops. Probably a newbie whose yoke hadn't taught them proper. Normally the dumb pilot AI operated the drone controls. The human pilot's only job was hitting a kill switch if the bot brain broke protocol. Still, it was pretty rare for an AI to do anything loopy, let alone attack a human, so the job was mostly waiting. The dumb bots of the Megapodopolis ran everything that way. That's how society solved both the human alignment and AI alignment problem. Stop anyone from aligning too much. Hence the rule, 1 yoke per human per pod. The skies around the launch tower were unusually empty. Most times, waves of penetrator drones from Megalopodolis 489J snuck in to frag down then launches. This time, no attacks plinked the drone array. This gave Huma more time than she really wanted to look out at the world. She mostly knew about the outside from high-res docos filmed before all the animals died when oxygen levels hit critical. The birds carked it first. Maybe that was why Huma hated them, those glass-eyed show-offs. Mammals were saved next. They took up so much room in the domes that half the reptiles were dead by the time their turn came. Huma couldn't watch the videos from that time anymore. She tried heading the Dumbkeeper units tending the reptile domes, but that made her too sad. Nobody loved the zoo lizards like Pepperoni had been loved. Nobody hugged and sang to them like she did to Savaloy. To shake off those thoughts, Huma patted her nylon lizard and dropped her eyes on the swamp below. Some vine had wormed up a small tree like it wanted an airlift someplace nicer. It held up spikes of watery purple flowers as high as it could from the mud. Outside wasn't like the old documentaries anymore. No bees were left to sniff the smell or sip the sweets. The world was nothing but plants and rot. Huma was still staring down when her drone lurched left. More drones joined the jerk step. Yoke reported, "Central system normal. Energy beam scan clear." A blur flashed across the right side screen. Huma pointed. "There, bring up the image." Yoke pop-upped the best frame. 3 metal legs across the lens. A new-gen crawler, busy cutting rotor lines after gliding out of the stratosphere. Rather than attack today, Megalopodolis 489J was wrecking defenses to target the next launch. The dumb fabs would be heaving non-stop to make up the losses. Huma was tucked safely in her pod, far from the action. Her megajoules would be paid either way. The crippled drone spiraled as it fell, green, blue, brown, green, blue, brown. Huma grabbed a handful of stimmies. After this mess was over, a mega-sesh playing Gecko Farm Island would calm her. The drone hit the mud, left side buried. Huma tilted her head to take in the picture. A mossy bank found focus. Beyond, a wide lagoon, sunbeams riding brown ripples. Fine grasses lolled on an invisible breeze. Huma hadn't seen the outside up close like this. There was a sad, hollow ache where the animals used to be. A shadow. A sweep of black striped gold. A certain touch of red. A soggy plop in the water. "Yoke, tell me you caught that." The frame pop-upped as the feed cut out, a crystal still of a full-grown turtle. A turtle? Alive? How's that possible? Anything bigger than an earthworm should be dead. Yoke's icon spun out a trail of dots as he trawled the archive. The blood biochemistry of diamondback terrapins. This record is nearly 1,000 years old, but it measured hypoxia tolerance of this organism when frozen in hibernation. Huma ate the sour green stimmies she always left to last. She tucked Savaloy away in his storage panel. Somewhere out there, the creature was hanging on, suffering, in need of aid. There was no authority to appeal to. The Megapodopolis and its army of dumbbots had no leader. The zoos were sealed for biohaz. Nobody else would care about some lost turtle. After a final hesitation, Hummer pulled the concentrator mask from under her chair. "Disengage lidlock, yoke. We've got a rescue mission." The outside air rushed in, moist and stale. Hummer tightened her head strap and stepped out onto the metal walkway. The pod array stretched in every direction, all silver and shadows, uplit in amber light. Now and then a pod twisted as someone inside rolled over. Outside, Yoke flipped to screen-free mode and voice-ported into Hummer's earpins, linked up to look out of the lenses all around the mask. "The launch tower is a 40-minute walk. Double your PB in the mobility rig." Rather than arguing, Hummer summoned the vertical shuttle bay the dumb mechs took between floors. She'd ridden it down twice before. Once to visit the Medipod when the bid on her ovaries got too rich to ignore. That's how she got the jewels to buy Savaloy. The second was for a real-time match-up with another blue-tongue keeper, Yoke's idea when he read Lizard's bond for life. The other person's face moved too much to look at. Like, a lot. And the other lizard bit Savaloy, so that was the end of that. With Yoke's guidance, Hummer exited the shuttle at floor 41 and picked a backtrack to avoid dumbbots or human travelers. Hummer pushed south, making empty music with her feet, following Yoke's directions, ignoring her sore knees. Now and then she activated the water generator on her mask, filling the vapor catch. At last they reached the outer wall of the Podopolis. In the exit chamber, applicator arms sprayed a polymesh skin all over Hummer, extra layers on her feet. Only 12 megajoules. Hummer thought it would be more. A panel opened to offer a selection of big masks that rattled worse than a drone feed. 300 megajoules each was a bit rich, so Hummer carried on. Outside, Hummer leaned out from the covered walkway to glimpse the distant tip of the launch tower. Even through her plastic face mask the sun was cutty sharp, the air gooey with moisture. She set the concentrator mask to maximum cooling until she could barely stand the hum and began down the shaded side of the walkway. The long, straight concrete path stretched south, boxy fabufactories either side. A solitary dumb scrub hunted slime spots on the damp expanse. Somewhere deep in the Podopolis, some boring body was watching it work. "How will you catch the terrapin? How will you transport it? What will you feed it?" Yoke had been digging through the archives for reasons to turn back. "Chorizo will be super sluggy with the oxygen so low. Not hard to catch at all." Hummer marched on, pleased with her choice of name, sweating through her suit. She reached the outer ring of glass farms, dumb cults busy inside, and stopped to deal with the overfull vapor catch. As she removed the mask, the staleness of the air caught Hummer by surprise. She swigged a sip, emptied the catcher, and was reattaching it when the mask stopped whirring. Warning lights blinked on the rim. The breathless world fell suddenly still. "Mask overload, Hummer. Return to the nearest factory for a power pack booster." "Can I breathe out here?" Hummer wasted half a lungful on the sentence. "Take slow, deep breaths and you'll be fine for 10 minutes. The air is 11% oxygen here. Your mask was designed for inside the Podopolis at 15% oxygen. Biomets are acceptable. Heart tick elevated. Stay calm and proceed to Factory F228B. Hummer turned back and measured her steps. The last factory was far away, beyond the walls of glass. She sampled the air. Each breath went down thick and gross, like nutrient paste in her lungs. Hummer gulped like a fish half evolved to the land and held her thoughts from racing more than one step ahead. The world was slowly spinning by the time Hummer activated the factory door. Yoke directed her to an emergency supply cabinet. In the background, an army of robotic arms assembled drone rotors. Hummer found the cabinet and pulled out the enhanced power module. Instructions say you need to open the side panel on your mask to remove the damaged unit, taking care to... Hummer yanked on the mask tab to extract the silver power pack. A sharp hissing sound filled the air. Pulling harder, the outer casing blew off as scalding gas spewed out. It stank worse than a lost lizard turd. Inside the exposed power unit, a strange swirling void. A robot arm sailed along the overhead railing, stuffed the broken power pack into a containment chamber, and slammed the lid shut. Just as swift, it inserted the replacement into the mask. Hummer pushed her face inside and breathed deep. The robot arm positioned its lenses to see her better. Somewhere deep in the Podopolis, a human had been watching her struggle. Somewhere, a human had come to her aid. The user messaged that you were lucky the power pack gas didn't ignite. I advise we return home. The path through the swamp will be even more difficult. Hummer tightened the strap and calmed her breathing. That's what every day feels like for Chorizo. I can't just leave it out there. They continued on in silence a while longer, past the vast greenhouses of sugar grass and soybeans, to where the walkway crossed the swamp around the launch tower. Trees sprung up from the higher ground, weighed down with grey-green lichens. Pushing on, the dull hum of dumbots gave way to the quiet sighing of the breeze. Hummer paused a moment, waiting for permission to enter deeper into this new domain. Yoke, what was that black swirly thing inside the power pack? A power port. They teleport the hydrogen gas from Jupiter that powers everything. Clean, limitless energy. It even makes the water for the greenhouses. We have reached the optimal location to leave the walkway. Are you sure you still want to do this? Hummer nodded grimly and ducked below the railing. The soggy ground swallowed her feet, but firmed up further along. Her journey through the swamp turned into a drawn-out game, plotting paths around ponds and hollows, retreating when the ground turned to sludge. Some plants parted at her touch, others tangled and scratched and forced her back. At one point she could find no alternative to wading through the muck to the next chain of islands. Horrible memories of a leech doco gave way to sorrow that there was nothing left for them to feed on. Greenness and softness and silence. That was all the swamp could offer. Somewhere out there, a little turtle was struggling to survive all alone. The sun was past its peak when Yoke indicated they had reached their destination. Hummer scanned the mossy edge of the familiar lagoon, clump of silver grasses swaying in the breeze. This time, the wind tickled the exposed edges of her neck. She found the broken drone and had a brief out-of-body experience, but there was no turtle. Had she really believed it would just be waiting for her to pick it up and hug it? Exhausted, She sat on the cushioned water's edge. She hadn't come so far to be defeated. Almost as a mantra, she whispered the words from Pepperoni's birthing day, but the constant hum from her mask kept rattling her brain. So she pulled the thing off her face and powered it down, unsure if it would start up again. Every breath of the stale green air, tinged with the perfume of the watery purple vines, brought her a little closer to eternal rest. It was so peaceful out here that she could have laid back and snuggled into the moss and waited to suffocate. Hummer was about to give up, put the mask on and return to the walkway, when a wet plop broke her meditation. Out in the middle of the lagoon, a chubby terrapin climbed out and balanced on a slimy log, black shell baking in the sun. Then another plop, and another, as turtle after turtle scrambled alongside. A whole colony of chorizos, jostling and jumbling. Hummer powered up the mask so she could wade into the pond, but the turtles scattered, vanishing back into the dark water. "Shall I research strategies for capturing turtles, Hummer?" Crawling onto the bank, Hummer took a moment to reply. "That's okay, Yoke. I can come back and visit them whenever I like." Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the story, hit the like button to support the channel. And make sure to get your free copy of the Keystone Codex using the link in the description below. It's a great project with some fantastic authors, all of whom have more work that you can check out. Haldane B. Doyle's Our Vitreous Womb is well worth a read. I enjoyed it immensely. It's a completely different kind of sci-fi than you're probably used to, based on biology more than industrial or digital technology. So I encourage you to head over to Doyle's website and Amazon listing to get stuck in, links all in the description. But for now, see you in the next one.